Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a disappointment, and it hurts for me to say that. This coming from the developers who made some of the greatest superhero games of all time. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League looks boring, uninteresting, and something nobody wanted. But before I go into that, let's back up a bit. Let's talk about Rocksteady, the developers behind the game. They were founded in 2004 and didn't really do much until they were handed the Batman license, where they would go on to make one of the most influential games of all time, Batman Arkham Asylum, influential in both the gaming industry and the superhero genre. Its combat system, copied to this day. Its detective vision, copied to this day. It's the reason why games like Spider-Man, Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy, and the future Wolverine game even exist to this day. They took a license and they turned it from being what it usually was, movie cash-ins, to something completely unique and original. They would follow that up with Arkham City, a success to the first game, bigger than the first game, and it was even more loved. Then they would release Arkham Knight, a bit of a mixed bag, but overall, everybody loved it. And then we were all waiting for what they were going to do next. And we were kept waiting, and kept waiting, till eventually they popped up on 2022 with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And like everyone else, I was super excited. Finally, they're back. The people that changed the superhero genre of gaming were finally back to give us something unique, something different. They were talking about the villains. They were showing off the heroes. They were showing off Metropolis. I was all hyped for it. And then the red flag started to hit me. They weren't really showing us the game. Every single time a new trailer would be shown off for this game, it would just be some cinematic highlight. And the little bit of gameplay they did show, you couldn't really trust. That was until recently at a State of Play, they finally showed us what this game was. And it's your bog standard third-person shooter, team-based, live service, boring-ass game. Look, this is not what I thought this game was going to be. I thought when they announced it as this third-person co-op game, it was going to be something maybe on the lines of Ultimate Alliance. Or maybe even something like Avengers, but a little bit more lessened. My first thought, this was going to be Gotham Knights. But this is even worse than Gotham Knights. First of all, this is going to be a game that's going to have online co-op, which can be dropped in or dropped out. And because of that, they are forcing you to have an online connection whenever you play this game. And you might be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, what if I don't want to play with co-op and I want to play alone? Well, it doesn't matter. You're still going to need that online co-op. What are we in? Are we in like the mid-2000s when everything had to be online? I can't believe that in 2023, we need an online connection to play a game that doesn't really require you to play this. Look, I understand why you need online connections sometimes. They want to track your stats. They want to keep up with your saves, blah, 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 blah. But for this, where they tell you, oh, you can play alone and we're going to have bots fill in for you, but we're still going to need that online connection. For what reason? This just immediately kills the game off a lot. Then, let's get to the gameplay, which looks like any other live service third-person shooter. Nothing interesting. We have gear systems where you're going to dismantle stuff and different rarities. You've got a gear score. You have guns you're going to get, different equipment. This all sounds very much similar, right? Because it's every other third-person shooter game that has a live service mechanic into it. And not only that, this game is very similar to another big game, Marvel Avengers. Let's not forget that. Marvel Avengers, which is getting shut down later this year because it didn't work, is exactly like this game. And then you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, this also sounds very familiar to Gotham Knights. The game came out a couple of months ago, and it was dead on arrival. That game came out, and nobody really played it. Sure, yes, they played it for a couple of hours and found out that you're going to do the same thing for the next 30 hours. The game just died. And from then on in, no one really cared. Gotham Knights was a flop. It was actually a flop from the moment they announced it, but it is a flop. This is the exact same thing, but worse. At least with Gotham Knights, I could play it by myself with no online connection. But with this, I gotta play with an online connection? No way. Not to mention, it's the same things. Literally the same things. Just swap out the hand-to-hand combat with gunplay. Just swap out all the different hordes of enemies with one type of horde of enemy. With the big enemies and just try out for Brainiac's armies. Then you have the big purple stuff that's gonna have the big marker that shows where you're gonna have to shoot for like 50 million times on the same repeated missions, probably. Now, look, to be fair, Suicide Squad could surprise us all and be a really good game. Hell, it could even have an amazing game. But who cares if the gameplay looks this boring? Look at this thing. It doesn't look any interesting whatsoever. It looks literally like Gotham Knights that came out a couple of months ago. And it looks like every other third-person shooter that we've ever seen. I can't believe this is the studio that changed how superhero games played, is making a bog-standard third-person shooter that no one likes. This game makes Gotham Knights look like a platinum star game. It looks like I should go buy Gotham Knights right now because it looks better than this game. I could play Gotham Knights offline. I could play the gear system. It looks exactly the same. The shooting mechanics is just hand-to-hand combat. I love what Rocksteady is. Okay, cut that out. I can't believe this is what's happening, you know? And I'll give the credit to this. The things in Gotham Knight, they also got the things I do like. I like the gear system in Gotham Knight, and it seems like it's the same gear system in this game. But the problem with Gotham Knight's gear system was that you had to play like 25 hours of it just for it to get interesting. And it looks the same thing here. It's so disappointing that this is the game we've got after they've been sitting and doing nothing for like since 2015. And this is what they come up with. The problem with Gotham Knights is that it was a game of everything and a game of nothing at the same time. It did nothing, it did everything, and it didn't do anything good. Everything was average, boring, subpar. And it looks like the same thing's gonna happen with Suicide Squad. Sure, it could have an amazing story. Heck, the Marvel Avengers had an amazing story, or had a good story, at least. But you couldn't even spend 2 hours of playing that game before you got really bored of it. And he was like, I just want to watch this cutscenes on YouTube. That can happen the exact same thing with Suicide Squad. You can play 2 hours of it and then be like, well, now I'm bored of this game and doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. Now I'm going to go watch the cutscenes on YouTube because of what's the use. This is a dead on arrival game. I'm not buying it day one. It won't be bored on day one. Now they can patch out that online only connectivity. They can patch it out. Games have been launched with that before and they've patched it out. But just to announce your game with it, that's just wrong. I mean, this is not even the first game to do this year. Arkane Studios' Redfall. That game is going to have an online only component as well, and you have to be online connected to that game as well. What is going on? We're in a point where the video game industry live service model has come and gone. We've just had a whole slew of games announced that they're being cancelled outright or shut down because no one's playing them anymore. Marvel Avengers is the biggest one. No one plays the game anymore. It was dead on arrival. It dropped like 98% in its first week. Same thing happened with Suicide Squad. And they're gonna have a battle pass that's cosmetics items as well. Just release it for free. A battle pass which you probably have to spend real money for to get cosmetic only items in a place where you can't even really play against other people. It's against AI bots. These games don't work. They're not going to even be fun to play. Eventually you get tired of them, you get bored of them, and you forget about them. Even if they are going to support it with new characters and probably new locations, the core gameplay isn't fun or interesting. And if you think, oh, games like this will not exist, Monster Hunter is the biggest example of this being a very successful model. Monster Hunter is kind of the same, but not the same. And it's very successful. And I can play the game offline or online right now. I can play it in the dark with no lights on my Switch. Now with Suicide Squad, I gotta be on an online connectivity to play it. What if I connect to this shit? The moment my internet cuts out, the game dies. What if in the future they shut down servers for the game, which they can probably do in probably 2 or 3 years, and then I can't have access to the game anymore? What's the use of that? It sucks that this game is the game that Rocksteady is going with and throwing all their eggs into this one basket. And it sucks that it seems like they were preparing for this all this time because Gotham Knights was like the soft launch for Suicide Squad. Because Gotham Knights has everything this has, it just has no online stuff. You don't really have to always be connected online. I can't wait to fight the 600th wave of this enemy or the same boss I've seen 8 times by this point. Now you can switch between characters as they said, and you can play offline and have bots put you as your other members. But why these games don't work anymore? Like team-based superhero games don't work. You either have us play as everyone from the start and make it a bit more streamlined, or have us play as only one of the characters and cut out the co-op whatsoever. I mean, Marvel Ultimate Alliance is basically the best example and the best version of this game you can make, because you can switch between all the other characters. It plays like an RPG, not really, but it's at least somewhat fun to play. You don't see that with the Suicide Squad game. I don't even see combos in the Suicide Squad game. And they say the best way to play this with friends, meaning your single player experience, is probably going to be shit. You playing this game alone is probably going to be shit. The sad thing is, a lot of people are probably going to play this game alone because they think, oh, great, Suicide Squad, I can play this Rocksteady game. This model is just, it's unbelievable. It makes me fear of what Warner Brothers is going to do with the next Mortal Kombat. We know that exists. And what they're going to do going forward. I mean, they've only released 2 games in recent memory, which is Hogwarts Legacy and, of course, Gotham Knights. But to have this come out so soon after Gotham Knights and not even try to fix any of it and instead double down, I can't believe that Rocksteady is even doing this. So this game is a disappointment. Not only to me, to a lot of people. And it hurts. It really hurts because I was so excited for this game. And now I think it's going to be another flop. So, comment down below what you think is the most disappointing news you've heard of this game. Is it the online only version of the game? Is it because the gameplay just looks uninspiring? Is it a third-person live service game? What is the thing that disappoints you the most about it? And how hyped were you for this game? Comment down below. Like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. I just had to make this video and rant a bit because when I saw this gameplay overview, I couldn't believe what I was watching. My mouth was open and I was just like, at the end of that video, at the end of the whole thing, I was just like, ew, I'm not buying this. Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, please comment, like, subscribe, share the video, all the normal YouTube stuff. I'll be back with another video very, very soon.